Hi there, my name is Dr. Lindsay Goulet, and today I'll be taking you through the webinar on managing sleep issues. This is one that I've presented to a lot of different first responder groups, and we get really great feedback. So that my whole goal with these sessions is that you take 2 to 3 things away that you can implement today or tonight to, for this session, help you get more restful and quality sleep. So that's the plan for today. Um, just for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Lindsay Goulet. I have a PhD in occupational and exercise physiology, and I work as the Director of Programming and Education for the Center of Clinical Excellence for Veterans and First Responders Health. I do work with a team of incredible practitioners, including registered dietitians, clinical counselors, kinesiologists, sleep coaches, naturopathic doctors, and so on and so forth. So we have a really stellar team. So if you do need any support when it comes to lifestyle medicine or counseling or any other support that we can help you with, please reach out to me. I'll leave my email address at the end of this presentation. So today, what we're doing is we're going to, oh, that's just the center again. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about about sleep, managing sleep issues. And I've done, like I said, I've done this presentation numerous times for many different first responders organizations. And whenever I put this stat up, that the recommended average for Canadians is to get 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night, that again is the recommendation. I typically get this reaction from our first responders. Like, I know that you are first responders and you got to do shift work, or you're veterans and you did shift work. And so getting quality sleep is difficult. It's not impossible though. So I just want to put that out there, that it's not impossible, that this can actually happen. So our plan today is to discuss some of the most common sleep issues for first responders. We're going to identify how to sleep, or how sleep or lack of sleep, in fact, actually impacts your life. And then we're going to give you some ideas and tips that you can implement tonight to help with some of the issues that you might be experiencing. So again, the recommendation is for you, your goal by the end of this, if you really focus on your sleep, your goal is to be getting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Again, I know, it's difficult. And you can cross your arms and you can roll your eyes all you want. It's okay. I'm totally used to it, but I'm going to try to make sure that you get where we need you to go. Okay? So the reality of sleep is that first responders aren't getting even close to the quantity or the quality of sleep that's needed for overall good health. So here's a few additional stats. I know everybody loves stats, but we have 31% that are experience shift work disorder. We have 30% of first responders that have obstructive sleep apnea. I have 28% of our first responders also managing insomnia. And then I have 28% again that have indicated excessive daytime sleepiness. So we have more stats coming out, which is very, very exciting. So here's some more. First responders with OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, are more likely to develop anxiety, depression, cardiovascular disease, DM, GERD, and PTSD. And then also first responders with insomnia are more likely to develop anxiety, depression, and PTSD. So sleep is critical, especially when you have a first responder occupation. So we're going to get into tips and everything in a little bit, but there's a lot I want to cover before we get there. And I need you all to understand a few of the sleep issues that we see consistently with our veterans and our first responders. First is obstructive sleep apnea. This is a common condition in which your breathing stops and restarts many times throughout the night. This can prevent your body from getting enough oxygen. So we often have our clients tell us that they are getting hours of sleep, that they feel like they're getting enough hours of sleep, but the quality isn't good. They're waking up tired. And so if you know that you're getting, 8 hours of sleep consistently, but you're still really fatigued and you're really tired, it's important to get tested for obstructive sleep apnea we can get you a referral for that. So just let us know. We also have clients that suffer from insomnia, which is a common sleep disorder where you have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or getting good quality sleep. And then we also have disrupted or disturbed sleep. So this sleep disruptions exist when sleep is insufficient to support adequate alertness, performance, and health, either because of reduced total sleep time or fragmentation of sleep by brief arousals. Some of this is volitional and some involuntary. So I've worked with RCMP members and other first responders for over 5 years now, and I would say that the most common sleep issue that we hear about is disturbed sleep. And that is typically due to nightmares, night terrors, that kind of stuff going on as you're trying to get some sleep. So typically, like I said, our most common sleep is sleep disturbances. So waking up and not being able to get back to sleep. In fact, what we hear over and over and over again is if I wake up in the middle of the night, it's almost impossible to get back to sleep. So for a lot of our veterans and first responders, if you wake up at say 3 in the morning, not doing night shift, but if you wake up, you are getting good sleep and then you wake up, whether it's due to a nightmare or a noise or a sound or whatever it is, you wake up and then all of a sudden your mind starts going and it's really difficult to get back to sleep. I'm going to give you a few tips and trips to try and get you back to sleep tonight. So before we get into the strategies, which I promise we will get to, you need to understand why sleep is critical. And I'm going to go through a few things that are really, really important. Sleep disturbance inhibit numerous important body systems. I'm going to outline just a few of them. I need you to understand that sleep impacts almost every single system in the body. I'm just going to touch on, I think, about 5 or 6 of them. So the immune system. During sleep, the immune system ramps up, and during that ramping up, the body gets inflamed. So it creates inflammation. The immune system creates inflammation. That's how it practices getting rid of germs and diseases and viruses and that kind of stuff. So it sends the body into inflammation. If you have disrupted sleep or interrupted sleep, what you're doing is you're waking the body up when it is in an inflamed state. So if all of a sudden you wake up and you're not able to get back to sleep, the immune system is kind of on high alert and it stays inflamed. So you're already starting your day in an inflamed state. So we have to try and get you back to sleep so that your body can finish the cycle of the immune system doing its kind of cleanup work. So immune system gets impacted. We also know that during sleep, emotional processing takes place. New experiences and emotions are processed in the brain during sleep. So if you don't sleep or you have disrupted sleep, emotions can't be processed properly. So this is why we see typically with shift workers and first responders more significant cases of PTSD because we're not able to get you to sleep so that you can actually process the emotions that you may have had to go through in the work that you do. Memory during sleep pathways form between nerve cells in the brain that help you remember new information you've learned. Sleep deprivation leaves your brain exhausted, so it can't perform its duties as well. This is actually a really interesting one. So if you learn something new one day, and you try and you have a crummy sleep that night, typically you're not going to be able to remember everything that you learned the day before because those firing patterns weren't created because you didn't give your brain a chance to do that work because you were awake. So that is I just find that so interesting. So if you learn something one day and then you can't remember what it was that you learned the next day, look at your sleep. Did you sleep well the night before? And I bet you most likely you did not. Sleep also impacts the digestive system. So sleep affects the levels of 2 hormones, leptin and ghrelin, which control feelings of hunger and fullness. So reduced sleep causes decreased leptin, which is the one that causes you to feel full, and increase in ghrelin, and that causes you to be hungry. So now we have a decrease in the full hormone and an increase in the I'm hungry hormone. That's going to lead to nighttime snacking or middle of the night snacking or just being kind of hungry all the time. And then finally, we're going to look at the endocrine system. I have the example of testosterone here. So testosterone production needs at least 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So that's getting you just into kind of the first cycle of the REM sleep. That's your deep sleep cycle. So if you aren't getting 3 hours of solid sleep, then for testosterone, women have testosterone as well. We're not creating that testosterone that we need. Sleep also impacts for women estrogen and progesterone, cortisol levels in both males and females. So it has a sleep really impacts our hormonal health. So we really have to be watching that, especially as we're aging. Okay, so those are, a few of the systems that are impacted by sleep. So what can you do about it? Before we get to that, we're going to do a few other things. We're going to talk about a few strategies, things that you can do tonight. And then we're going to go into, because I know that you're going to ask me about shift workers. So I promise we're going to talk about shift workers. But what can you do tonight? In general, please realize I understand that not everybody is the same. Some of you are shift workers, and that throws a big wrench into things. But in general, when you're off duty and you don't have to do a night shift, we have a 10-3-2-1-0 rule. It's not really rolling off the tongue, but you'll get it in a second. So 10. 10 hours before bed, no caffeine. Now, I do recognize that this is difficult for our shift workers. I do, and I will keep saying that. But we have to start prioritizing sleep because it has such a massive impact in the body. So try. You got to try to cut the caffeine out 10 hours before you go to sleep. 3 hours before bed, no more food or alcohol, and we'll talk about alcohol kind of on its own. 2 hours before bed, no more work. Shift workers, hang tight. I know that you're saying that's impossible. We're working. I do understand. I recognize that. However, I will get you to do something else. 1 hour before bed, no more screens. So you're not on your phone, doom scrolling, you're not on your tablet, you're not watching TV, you are reading a boring book, you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to music, something that is not screen related. So that's 1 hour before bed. And then 0 is the number of times that you're going to be hitting your snooze button. So if you are a chronic snooze button hitter, we're going to ask you to stop that. We just knock it off. No more snooze buttons. As soon as your alarm goes off, you're going to have a big stretch. You're going to, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up out of bed and off you go and start your day. Don't keep trying to put yourself back to sleep with that snooze button. Okay, so Linz, a lot of our members are shift workers, so these tips don't work. I know, for sure. So here I am going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, shift workers, pause. Please know you're coming up. I promise. But here are some general sleep tips to help you fall asleep. And these come from our sleep coach. So number one, and this goes for everybody, and shift workers, I'm also talking to you. So you're going to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Now, shift workers, the difference for you guys is that you are going to have a different schedule. You're going to have multiple schedules. So you're going to have a schedule for your day shift, for your night shift, and for your days off. Now, you're going to try and keep your day shift and your days off sleep schedule quite similar. Your night shift is going to be quite different. So shift workers are going to have multiple schedules, but the goal is to help you maintain a strong circadian rhythm, and that's going to help limit your waking throughout the night. No alcohol or sleep aids. So these are tools that actually, yes, they do. So I have had a lot of our clients say, having a glass of wine or having a beer helps you get to sleep. Yes, it will cause sleepiness. However, alcohol and sleep aids actually keep you in the light layers of sleep, so light levels of sleep. They inhibit you from getting into the deep REM cycle sleep. So yes, alcohol and sleep aids help you get to sleep, but it does not help you get quality sleep. So they're actually hindering your sleep quality. Another tip is to heat your feet with heating pads or to wear socks. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to draw the heat away from the core of the body. So pulling that out. and causing lots of heat in the extremities. That's what we want to do. So pull the heat away from the body, from the core temperature. We want to bring the core temperature down because we like to sleep cooler. We sleep better when we're cooler. And that brings us to creating a dark, cool 17 degrees space with no clock faces. Now, there's a lot of research out there on the proper temperature. Believe it or not, there's a lot of research on the proper temperature to sleep and get good quality and quantity of sleep. And that, for everybody that has been arguing with their partners of whether it should be colder or hotter, the research shows that the best temperature is 17 degrees. So we're going to try and limit distractions and light and create a space that is comfortable where the temperature is about 17 degrees. And that's going to help cool the body temperature so that you can get that good sleep. And then finally, one of the best tips that our sleep coach, I think, has given is that if you're not asleep in 15 minutes, get up. Get up out of bed. You're going to go and you're going to not catastrophize this. It's not a big deal. You're going to go and you're going to grab a, glass of warm milk, and you're going to grab your boring book. You're not going to turn a lot of lights on. You're just going to stay calm and stay where it's fairly dark, until you're sleepy again. And then you're going to go back to bed once you're sleepy. Okay, so for my shift workers, this slide is particularly for you. So again, you're going to have multiple sleep schedules for your bedtime routine. But again, we really want you trying to focus on that circadian rhythm, and that only happens when we have a good sleep cycle and sleep schedule. When you're at work, if you're coming off a night shift and you know you're going to go home and have sleep, which you should, you're going to try and do easy work during the last hour of your shift. This is the maintenance stuff, the admin work, the stuff that doesn't involve a lot of deep thinking and problem solving, if possible. Listen, I know sometimes, everything hits the fan and your last few hours of work are completely chaotic. In an ideal world, if you can end your shift doing easy work, that's great. That is going to help you so much. We would also say no workouts after your shift and before you go to bed. And listen, I have a PhD in exercise physiology. I love fitness. I love working out, all of that. However, I will always say you should prioritize your sleep over your fitness workout. Some of you will hate that, but that's okay. We want the core temperature to come down. And when we're working out, core temperature increases. And sometimes exercise kind of ramps us up when we really need you to be ramping down and getting the body ready for sleep. If you have to eat something, that's okay. Just don't have a huge meal. And our registered dietitian and our holistic nutritionist often recommend having oats, not with like brown sugar and fruit and, dried fruit and everything on it. This is oats. This is pretty boring. You can add some salt. You can add some cinnamon. But oats have melatonin and they have magnesium and they do have tryptophan. And so they can create a little sleepy bowl of goodness that can kind of satiate you before you go to sleep. So you're not going to bed hungry. And then finally, when you're leaving your shift, put your sunglasses on before you go out into the sun, or blue blockers, or whatever it is to keep things dark. This is because we don't want to burn out all the melatonin, and sun will do that. So we don't want to look at bright sun because then the body thinks, oh, it's time to wake up, when actually we need you to be ramping down. So wear sunglasses before you leave the building, and as you go out to your car and drive home, sunglasses on. Okay, so for my disrupted sleepers, I know you're out there. There's a few things that you can do if you are the people that wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. First and foremost is you're going to practice your good sleep hygiene and your good bedtime routine. Just like a baby needs a bedtime routine, so do children, teens, young adults, stressed out adults. We all need a bedtime routine. So whether it's, light a candle, have a bath, put some lotion on, read a book, go to bed. Whatever your bedtime routine is, set it. And that's kind of the body's cue that you're getting ready for sleep. So once you get into a good sleep routine, bedtime sleep routine, the body kind of knows that if we're moving from one thing to the next thing is sleep. So it's prepared to go to sleep, more prepared to go to sleep. Go to bed when you're sleepy, not tired. Listen, we can probably all say we're tired 24/7 at this point, especially for our veterans and first responders. I know you have a very demanding job. So I know that you're often very tired. Tired does not mean sleepy. Sleepy means like groggy and ready for bed. So we're not watching TV until you're sleepy. Our sleep coach asks that you create kind of like a cozy nook, a comfortable chair with dim lighting where you can listen to a audio book that's kind of boring or read a book that's kind of boring, anything that can cause you to be sleepy and drowsy and bring calm. You can meditate as well, and then you can go to bed once you're sleepy. One of the best tips I think our sleep coach has ever given is that don't catastrophize waking up. Everybody wakes up throughout the night. Every single person wakes up throughout the night, whether they recognize it or not. They wake up. The problem with some of our first responders is that they wake up and then we start thinking about everything that we have to get done, and that if I don't get sleep now, then I'm going to be so tired and I still have so much, and now I'm this much further behind, and I'm not going to have the energy, so we catastrophize the whole thing. Sometimes it's just good to acknowledge, yeah, okay, I'm awake. Everybody wakes up. And then you do something to help get you back to sleep, whether you're doing breath work or meditation or some other tools that you can use to get back to sleep, which is what we're talking about here. So use tools to help you get back to sleep. Breath work is an incredible one. You can do just a Google search on breath work for sleep. You can ensure that, just a quick tip is to make sure that your exhale is longer than the inhale. When we exhale longer, we're stimulating the ventral vagus nerve, which brings calm. So we want to be exhaling longer, bring calm into the body, and get ready for sleep again. For those people that wake up and the mind starts racing, sometimes a brain dump is really good. Just have a pen and paper next to your bed, write down everything that you're thinking or everything that you're trying to remember for the next day. Once you've written that all down, you can kind of say, that's done, brain, we can go to sleep now. And we can kind of, trick the brain into going back to sleep. And then finally, again, if you're up for more than 15 minutes, get up. Get up out of bed. Don't just lay there. Don't just think about all the sleep that you should be getting. You're going to want to get up, go to your cozy little nook, keep the lights dim, get your boring book, read your boring book until you're sleepy, and then go back to bed once you're sleepy again. So key takeaways for today: sleep hygiene is extremely important. Figure out a routine that works for you and keep a schedule for bedtime and wake up. Your bed is for sleeping, so don't lay in bed agonizing about sleep. Go to bed only when you're sleepy and get out of bed when you're awake for more than 15 minutes. And then third, if you're waking up and you're tired, but you feel like you're getting the hours of sleep, get assessed for some sleep issues. Treatments and programs are available to help you get more restful sleep. So you can connect with me, check me an email, and I'll help you out and figure out where we can send you to get some help. So there is my email address, lgoulet@bfrh.ca. You can also check out some of our additional programs that we have available. We have programs for ADHD and for PTSD. We have an optimal health program, a brain fog program. We have counseling services available. So if you need some support, please don't hesitate to reach out. I can also come and do education sessions like these for you and your members. So just let me know. You can reach out to me, and I'm happy to be there. And yeah, I think that's it. So that's it. Comments, questions, concerns, please just reach out, and I'm happy to support you in any way that I can. Take care, and I will talk to you soon.